what I'm about to show you is actually correcting for a mistake that I've made, but hopefully this is going to save you some time. And I think the lesson overall just goes to show that if you begin with the end in mind, all right, and you're really thinking like an engineer, thinking all the way through, you can really save yourself some steps and extra work by anticipating what's coming next. Okay, and in this case, I should have anticipated that I need the new component, specifically a component with bearing flat and two pop rivets going through it. Okay, so this video will show you how to make that, and then you will go about putting them on here rather than make the mistake I did and place everything individually and then join them all together. This will save a lot of time for you. Okay, so this is what you're going to be creating. Okay, so this is that process. So what you want to do is start a new design, and yeah, always first thing you have to do is save it, or it's going to be unhappy. All right. So let's go to. I want to save it in this folder actually. The reason I want to save it in this folder, let's see if it lets me move it here. Oh, this one right here is because I'm going to pull some parts from two different folders. One's from motion and one is from structure. Okay. And, you know, it makes Autodesk, typically it has in the past, traditionally, makes it most happy when all the parts for a particular component you're creating or all the parts for a sub-assembly or an assembly, they're all together in the same folder, all right? And so rather than create this sub-assembly in one of these individual folders, we're gonna back up to the parent folder that holds both of those, okay? So I'm gonna put it in here, I'm gonna click, and I'm gonna give it the name of, we'll call this bearing flat pop rivet component. And I'm going to call it 2 because I've already created one, right? So there we go. So here's the process for putting it together. Keep in mind, I might pause the video occasionally if I'm trying to fix something, just so I'm not wasting your time, okay? So we've got the bearing flat. Fortunately, that's already open here. I'm in the motion folder. So let's pull this in. So insert into current design. Okay, perfect. I want to just rotate it this direction so I can kind of, actually, you know what? Yes, I want to rotate it this direction. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Great. And so now I need to back up and go to the, let's see, structure folder and find the bearing flat, or sorry, the pop rivet. Man, I'm going to get those names mixed up. Okay, insert into current drawing. Great. Okay, it's taking a little bit of time here. I'll pause in case it's going to take a while. Pause, it did take a little while. All right, so I've got this part here. I want to move it. I don't like it right there. And you know what? For what I'm doing, actually with this orientation, it's perfect because I'm going to join this to that essentially. And that way I don't even have to flip the screen around. I'm going to leave it as it is. All right, so I'm going to say OK. And then I'll bring just one more in. All right, insert into current design. And then grab it by this point again and drag it away. All right, click OK. Great, I've got them in here. So this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna hit J for joint. All right, and we can close this data panel to give more space. Basically, we want to join, and before I actually even do that, I wanna ground a piece here. Okay, so I'm gonna come to bearing flat, and I'm gonna say ground. Okay, so I do not want this to move. All right, so let's go back to J now that I've done that. And basically, I want this here, and specifically that point, okay? So I'm not sure if that worked out really well, to mate with this right here, or join with that. Okay, good, it did kind of what I wanted, but I'm going to flip it around, all right? And lastly, like I'm encouraging all the time, use these square on views to really make sure it's where you want it to be. All right. And so this is a little interesting. You know, I know that the metal is 0.046 inches thick, and so this is actually, I was going to drag it back to be 0.046 inches away, but I think it actually didn't mate with this surface here. Okay, which is that's where it has to be away from because that's what is going to be up against the metal. It mated with basically the equivalent of this thing right here, that face right there. So I'm going to have to figure out what that is and subtract that from this difference before I change it. So for now, I'm just going to click OK. All right, I'm going to come back and edit that. But what we can do is inspect, and I'm going to find the length of, like, from this point to this point. Okay, so I inspected, and it says it is 0.025 inches. Okay, that's the distance. I believe that'll be good. So that means I'm going to need to come another 0.021 inches back from that, right? So I'm going to click close. Let's edit this joint we had. So go to edit joint. And we're going to make this say, instead of, well, that's really interesting. Let me go all the way in and see what it says. Okay, so that is, okay, so that's negative. So 0 is around there. Okay, so yep, I'm gonna just make this instead. Let's make sure I'm going the right direction. Is it a negative? Yes, it needs to be a negative. Make this 0.21. Okay, and then hit enter. All right, so that's perfect. I'm gonna do that with the other side. All right. And let me pause this while I do that. Okay, so I've finished with the other side, and I've got exactly what I need for my Clawbot assembly. All right, so let me go to the home. This is what it's going to look like. If I want, I can turn off the visibility of my joints here, so I just don't like the way that looks when I bring them in. I'm going to hit Command Save, okay, and then I will go to, or Command S for save, go to my Clawbot. And what I can do at this point is open my data panel again, find my new thing, which is in this parent folder, Clawbot Robot. It's this one right here, and insert into design, okay? And from here, you know how to do the rest, okay? But this is a tip I'd give for you to make it quicker. When you insert into the design, yes, you can join it, right, the first time, and you know how to do that. But if you use the rectangular pattern, it'll make 2 more for you. You do have to go and then join those also, so you might find it easier to just insert in the current design each time. But a single joint is going to do it because the other things, the bearing flats, the pop rivets are joined to that bearing flat, so they're not going anywhere. So as long as you get one of those things there, the whole thing's locked. All right, that's it. Have fun.